Hello everyone, this is a video tutorial series for learning dimensional analysis. This video is brought to you by Forbidden Learning Commons. I am Mr. Chan. I am the instructor there. Every single year, ever since I was a teacher, I heard a lot of students struggling, complaining about dimensional analysis. And in this video series, we will learn different levels of dimensional analysis, and I hope everyone who finishes watching this video series will be superb on the skill of dimensional analysis. So what makes dimensional analysis very difficult, we ask? Okay, so the answer, well, there's a fun fact, which is we have to ask the question when we say dimensional analysis. If you don't know how to tell what a dimension is, what kind of analysis are you doing, right? And based on the students' responses that I have had in the past, they often have this difficulty of telling what dimension is, and they are very confused about what units are, and so this is the reason why many students are struggling, because when they say the term dimensional analysis, they don't know what they should be thinking. So we will go ahead and take a very detailed look on dimensional analysis, so that you will be equipped with the skills so that you will do well on the questions, quizzes, or tests associated with dimensional analysis. So another question that we ought to ask is it all about the units? And the answer is it's not really entirely yes. We will look at the units, but the emphasis should not be placed entirely on the units, because again, we analyze a dimension, right? So we have to understand what dimension is. So what is dimension, we ask? Okay, so think about this. Do you know what a dimension is? Okay, you can pause the video and think about it. And if you say you have not much clue about what a dimension is, then let me ask you a question. Have you heard of 3D? Okay, and chances are you have heard about 3D when you watch movies. Okay, you watch IMAX 3D movies. So what does 3D mean? Okay, well, 3D means three-dimensional, right? But what makes a three-dimensional, what makes a 3D object three-dimensional? So here I have a picture for you. It's a little prism right here. And what makes a three-dimensional object three-dimensional? What are the three dimensions? Okay, well, we have length, we have width, and we have height. Okay, so we have these three dimensions, and practically they are all lengths, but in order for us to tell the sides clearly, so we say, all right, so although these three are all lengths, but let's just call the shorter one the width, the one that goes above we call it height, but technically they're all lengths. So so when we say dimension, okay, we have to understand what is a dimension, and sometimes, well, every time we can use a unit to tell what a dimension is. So for example, we just visited length. Okay, we have different units that could be used for lengths. We can have meters, we can have centimeters, we can have kilometers, inches, yard, miles, and so forth. Okay, a lot of different units. So the skill that I want everyone here watching this video to have is that, can you tell the dimension by just looking at the units? And this is also the reason why we place a lot of emphasis on units. So it's not entirely about units, but units are very crucial in helping us to tell what dimension it is. So let's look at other examples of dimension. We can have area as a dimension. We can have meters square, centimeters square, inches square, yards square, and a lot more. Okay, so the square right there, it's a very strong hint that, hey, you are looking at an area. We also have volume, meter cube, centimeters cube, inches cube. We can also use gallons. We can use liters, milliliters, liters, and so forth. Okay, and we can have mass, okay, as a dimension, and the units that we use for mass, it's grams, kilograms, milligrams, and so forth. We can also have time as a dimension, okay, second, minute, hour, day, so forth. And we have quantity. Sometimes we don't have a unit for quantity because we just count like 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can use other units such as pair, dozen. Like pair, you know, it stands for 2. Dozen stands for 12, and so forth. So first, I want you to have a clear understanding of what a dimension is and what unit is. Okay, so make sure you have this clear separation between these two terms, dimension and units. And we were going to practice analyzing dimension, and it's going to be very helpful as we talk about dimensional analysis and all the calculations that associates with it. Okay, so make sure you can have this interchangeability or the linkage between dimensions and units. Okay, now there's one more important thing as we approach to the calculation part of dimensional analysis, and that's called conversion factor. Okay, so what about conversion factor? Conversion factor, it's basically a fraction where the numerator and denominator are equivalent to each other, and we're going to see some examples here on how to set up a conversion factor. So the key thing right here is about how do you set up a legitimate conversion factor. So here's an example. So we say 1 meter it's equal to 1,000 millimeters. Okay, so we can set up a conversion factor as a fraction like this, or you can set it up like this. Now, there's a very common question about whether we should do the left one or the right one, which fractions should we use. So, it all depends on what situation that we have and the calculation, and we will talk more about the specific utilization of these conversion factors in a moment. Another example, okay, so 1 gallon of gasoline costs $2.39. So this is equivalent. 1 gallon of gasoline, you have to pay $2.39. So we can make this statement into a conversion factor. And what's more is that I hope you can see the two dimensions here. The gallon, okay, you look at the unit. 1 gallon means that it's about the volume, and then you have the 2.39, the $2.39. That is the currency. Okay, so we can set up the dimension, the conversion factor like this. 1 dimension in the numerator, the other dimension in the denominator. We can also set it up like this. Okay, again, it depends on the situation. So we will take a look at the more examples in a moment. Okay, so now we are going to look at 4 levels. Okay, I separate this series into 4 different levels, and I hope after you finish all these 4 levels, you will be able to master the skill of dimensional analysis. Okay, so please click on the next video, and then you can enjoy the learning of dimensional analysis.